Okay, so welcome everybody. As Shmuel said, we are trying to bring to you, bring to our Australian audience the um, Zoom meetings with current current up-to-date events that are happening. And we've chosen this date today because Shmuel's coming to Australia next week. But in the background, when we've made the decision to have our Zoom with up-to-date items, well, our President Trump is decided that he's not happy with what's happening in Iran. So this will be a very up-to-date moment because, as I said yesterday, the Israeli medical services have been put on notice that to be ready to change over to a war mindset and action plan. Um, so things could be developing any hour with what is happening with Iran and Israel. Yes, Lisa, a lot of prayers. And Shmuel will talk a little bit about that. And I'd like to say that the 2026 year, we're only not even a month into it, and it's been an absolute crazy amount of things happening so quickly. From President Trump taking the leaders from Venezuela, Jared Kushner has put out his Gaza development plan. Trump went to Davos, and he wants to take over Greenland. And if you look into all of it, the bulk of it is all connected. And I was told yesterday that for 15 years, Facebook and BlackRock have been buying land in Greenland for 15 years. So all the dots join. If you know the information to find, it all joins. So, and of course, in Australia, hi, Carolyn. In Australia, of course, we were able to watch on mainstream television the broadcast of the National Day of Mourning service from Sydney Opera House. We're watching the Jewish men, the Chabad men, singing in Hebrew on the platform on mainstream media television. So definitely things are happening all around. And nevertheless, but behind all the things that are happening, that the Lord is moving, the passing of the Combating Anti-Semitism, Hate and Extremism Bill 26 has brought a giant concern over Australia, the Australian pulpits, for their free speech, and it's overreach for what they were wanting to stop the extreme hatred of anti-Semitism. I think it's gone far beyond that. So, in summary, before I just hand over to Shmuel, it really is a time that the Jewish people around the world need to strongly consider that their power and strength in unity is in the land together. When they bring the Torah and they bring the worship and their prayers at the kotel, the strength of the multitude of the Jewish people in the land it just magnifies the protection of God's hand on them when they are at war. And we saw that on the 1st of October 24, 180 ballistic missiles came from Iran, and there was no injuries, no death, except the poor Palestinian at the Jordan crossing. And he got some shrapnel. So I'll just open with Deuteronomy 30, and it says I'd like to read 1 to 6, but we're running out of time. So verse 3, and at that point, Adonai your God will reverse your exile and show you mercy. He will return and gather you from all the peoples to which Adonai your God scattered you. If one of yours was scattered to the far end of the sky, Adonai your God will gather you even from there. He will go there and get you. Adonai your God will bring you back into the land your ancestors possessed, and you will possess it, and he will make you prosper there, and you will become even more numerous than your ancestors. And this next sentence is for the Christians. And Adonai your God will circumcise your hearts and the hearts of your children, so that you will love Adonai your God with all your heart and with all your being, and thus you will live. And so in these times, it's to find our refuge in Psalm 91. Under his wings is where we will find life. So we just welcome Shmuel to talk about his tour and the events that are unfolding in Israel.
Thank you, Pam. And sorry again for the issue here with Zoom. My disappointment wouldn't be present today because I am in a very, very good mode right now. A couple of hours ago, Israel received the last hostage, Ran Goali, his body after 841 days. I think that's the number. I want to talk just for a minute about this scenario, and I would say something controversial, maybe politic, but it's very true in what we feel right now in Israel. Nobody in Israel had considered that all of them will return back home. We thought that this will be their hand, their tool for years to come. I want to remind you, my friends, that in the last 10 years, we had a soldier being kept in Gaza. Somebody remembers his name? Adar Goldin. Adar Goldin was kept in Gaza all those years. We knew he was there. We knew he died. But he was there, and that was one of the key tools in negotiation that the Hamas had over us. This is something we need to remember. We treat people as human beings, and every human being is a human being, and there's something behind the fact that he was our enemy. There is still something there, maybe a soul, maybe a bit of spirit, or a family behind him that we will respect. The other side doesn't see us that way, and they would play and they would use as a tool every dead body, every soldier, every kidnapped person, everything they had in mind. And indeed, all of the people that they held until now, including all the people from the 7th of October, were released. Since 2014, there wasn't a scenario that there wasn't any Israeli in Gaza. There was the story of Adar Goldin. I don't know if you remember, there was a guy a bit with mental issues, Ethiopian guy that walked into Gaza and was captured. He was held there for 7 years. Mangosta, that was his name. He sat there in Gaza. We know he was there. He was alive. He was released in one of the negotiation at this time, because that is need to be said. We knew and we know that that was the only leverage they had on us. And even in the midst, and you remember throughout the war, every time there was maybe we'll negotiate, we'll make a deal, we'll make that. We always knew that, okay, but regardless of what's going to happen, they will never release all our people. No chance. That's the only thing they had in their hand is our people. And indeed today, January 26th, the 4th of Shvat, at this moment we have nobody in Gaza. Gaza is Jewish free. And there's no hostages, and there's no dead bodies, and there's nobody there that we need to fight for. The number of people that died in the process of releasing dead bodies in this war are countless. And we know we lost good people to release dead bodies. And that's a big debate that needs to be asked. And one day maybe we should discuss it. Is it worthwhile to go and fight and lose human beings fighting for a dead body? So today in Israel, every Israeli feels that something is open in his heart. And there's like a show, or not a show, but there's like a scenario that happens. I don't know if you saw it, that people who used to wear the yellow ribbon are publicly taking it off from their suit. Did you see it? The
Yep.
president of Israel did it, Netanyahu did it, and all sorts of like MKs did it because it really does represent something. Funny enough, in a video that I sent Pam a couple of weeks ago, in preparation for the people who will host me in Australia, I said the words, after everything is over and now that there's nobody there in Gaza, it's time to speak about the future. I said it, but I knew Ran Goali was there. And now I don't want to sound prophetic, but something in me said that when I will be there in February, it will be over. I really did feel that it's a matter of days. So it wasn't a mistake. I thought, how does it sound that a pastor looks at me and says, now there's nobody? Of course, there's God is there. Did he forgot about this dead soldier? I didn't forget. I remembered him. I thought about him. I prayed for him. But something deep down made me feel that this will be over. Now, I'm not a prophetic. I'm not a prophet. I'm nothing to do with that. But I can tell you that we knew that this has to be over one way or another. Today, Pam, we spoke many, many times, and we mentioned one day or another. Sometimes you're doing it the right way, negotiation, and sometimes when there's no other choice, we will go inside and we will take what's ours. And you should know that in this operation to bring Ran Goali, there was once again risks of soldiers. We went inside, we kidnapped people, we interrogated, investigated until we found that dead body with the knowledge that the Hamas says we don't know where it is. And the Islam Jihad says we don't know where it is. So Israel had to go and find out where it really was in Gaza. To tell you that it was a very complex situation, and yet the wisdom and the blessing of God to having him back home means so much for us. And somebody wrote that for many Israelis today feels like October 8th, like the never ending day of the 7th of October. It's over now, and we can open this new chapter. And it's important for me to say all of that as an introduction because how can I put it in a nice way? The next chapter is not kangaroos and butterflies flying in the air. I actually think that the next chapter that's going to happen very, very soon, like very soon, Pam, you will reveal in a couple of days if I am a prophet, and because I told you, right, a month and a half ago when I think it will happen. We'll see. But let's put it this way, very soon, an attack will start in Iran by the US. And we know that the target will be, as a result, because they can't do anything else, they will attack Israel once again. And Israel is ready, it's prepared. And I can tell you, to add on what Pam said, the hospitals are ready, the soldiers are ready, the shelters are getting ready. Every town in Israel is allocated where the people will go. And let's put it in a way that is also going to be clear. At the first round, Iran attacked with the understanding that there should be a future and they should have a maneuver, a way out of it. I think that right now it's, as we call in the game of cards, it's going to be all in. And when they will feel they have no way out, they will throw at us everything they have. So I hope it's not going to happen, and I hope they're going to have some sense. But Israel is prepared to a scenario that everything is going to be thrown into Israel. It's already okay to publish that 2 weeks ago, if you remember, there was a night that everybody was sure it happens tonight. Aircrafts were evacuated, soldiers, like it was set. And then they said, oh no, America wanted to fool to see how they will react. It's published. Bibi Netanyahu admitted that he called Trump and he said to him, we are not ready. A, we're not ready inside Israel. B, you're not ready with the forces around you that you need. And three, it's a shift that needs to happen in many, many ways and places. And it cannot happen right now. So he postponed it. People thought, oh, he folded. He wasn't really serious about it. I think he is serious. I think it will happen very time soon. So to tell you that if the first chapter of Ram Goali closed the 7th of October for Israelis in the sense of our boys, we are now opening the new and final chapter in breaking the Iranian regime and all of his proxies. Because after what happens now in Iran, we can literally say the war against 7 nations around us is over. Hezbollah folded, Syria folded, Hamas folded, Yemen folded, Iraq folded, Iran will be folded. So it's a new and exciting chapter in the life of Israel. And today we thought of also, talking, just sharing a bit of what's happening here, but also try to really bring together the ideas of what will be discussed in Australia. And I think it's the first time ever we can open this subject and come to our people and say, here, we are among friends. What are the topics that we need to discuss? I'll give you a couple of notes that I wrote to myself about what do I think needs to be discussed, and then maybe Pam will go through the schedule, and then we can open the conversation about what more is needed and what else do we need to talk about. Every time I come to Australia, I come and I prepare myself to this, circle of events where I'm going to talk, and always will be surprised with the things that people care the most. I can tell you that last May came to Australia. Pam, do you remember what was the issue that people was, asked about the most?
No, I can't remember. I'm sorry. I think it was, no, I can't remember.
The biggest issue that every Australian was, worried about is the UN resolution. What will
Yes.
happen when there's going
Yes,
to be a vote in the UN?
of course. Sorry.
Do any of you care right now what happens in the UN with what vote and what it means? Who
Yes.
cares? You you,
Well,
you think it's
I,
a subject that people care about today?
I think in Australia, because Shmuel, because Albanese and Penny Wong voted for the Palestinian state on the 21st of September, I think that that's brought a dark cloud over our nation and paved the way for Bondi to actually happen. That's what
I
I feel.
I definitely agree that there's a lot of outcomes from this vote. But I think for the people who care about Israel, and when they're concerned about Israel, they understand that that vote in September meant not so much to our life in Israel. That's what I mean. I
Oh,
bring the news of what happens in Israel. What do we care about? What's happening? Judea and Samaria, the war, the crimes, the stories of the reservist. That's something that really interests me about our families are breaking apart. That's what I had in mind as something that I'm concerned of. And I come and you talk about the UN, and I said it. Israel does not put a high concern to what happens in the UN. I agree with you totally that it was a devastating day, and we see the outcomes, and we will see more of that. But to tell you that at that moment when I came in May, to understand that's the biggest concern by Australians was a surprise for me. So I want to try to bring the three major topics that I think I'm going to talk about, and then I'll open for more suggestions here among friends. So the number one is this. In the last three circles of talks in Australia, the biggest issue was naturally the war. And I've talked about it from all different directions, what it means, what not. And this time I want to present something that I've never talked about in length, but I think it's something that all of you have in mind. Shmuel, you might ask, after everything we saw in Gaza, after you come here and you present your wishful belief about the people who live in Judea and Samaria, 500,000 people among 2 million people. The obvious question is, where is the future of all of that? How do you think all of that will be played? Meaning we already see what the Palestinians think about you. We are already witnessing their feeling towards you, their affection towards you. It's not going to end. How do you see the outcome of this and how it will be played? Or in other words, to make it very short, is there peace? Or is there a chance for peace? Is there a way to finish this vicious circle? And I think it's a very big question because as the day passes, we are narrowing down the understanding of if Gaza's story is over, the next move is going to be in Judea and Samaria. And we already see how the world looks at Judea and Samaria, how the world looks at me. I will come and in my hand I will show you the letter that Mrs. Albanese that you just didn't mention, but when I think about the UN, I think about Albanese, the lady who investigated war crimes against Palestinians and writes to me, Shmuel, you are accused for genocidal acts against Palestinians. What? Where does it come from? I'm narrowing down all the solution of how it will end, and all the arrows point out to Judea and Samaria. That will be the next move. That will be the next issue. And we saw that in the last circle of events, when all the streams pointed out to Judea and Samaria, and a word that I'm going to use, but people are not using anymore, annexation of the land of Judea and Samaria, President Trump stood on the White House and said, ain't gonna happen, as we say. And with that, a dream of many, many years of annexation in the land of Judea and Samaria was over. If that's the case, what is the solution in Judea and Samaria? Or what do we even offer as a solution? With all due respect to our belief system, do you find any way, tangible way to continue this? To continue the way you live? To continue the way the region lives? So that's one major issues that I think needs to be discussed. Number two is a very inner circle issue that I think many people, I get emails about this topic the most. Very surprising. I mean, not surprising. I think it makes more sense. And that's the story of the inner problem we have in the Israeli society. Meaning, not everything in Israel is as amazing as we present it. Of course, we don't present it amazing, but you need to understand that there are many, many issues in the inner circles of Israel society that makes a lot of problems in our day-to-day life. And the biggest one that right now is tearing apart the Israeli society is, yeah,
It's the the Hasidic Orthodox Jews coming into the IDF reserves.
Not coming into the reserve.
Mm.
Exactly. I am talking about the never-lasting debate about the story and how the ultra-Orthodox who are getting bigger and bigger in Israeli society, how will they take a part in the battle we have? We're talking about battles, we're talking about dead soldiers, and we're reaching out to our friends even in Australia. And I'm telling you, I know for a fact that everyone here, if he had an opportunity and he had the way, he would go and stand and fight with his friends, his brothers in Israel. Pam, even you, even you. It's simple to say that when you love somebody, when you're part of something, when you believe in a cause, you are willing to do everything, including guard and save and be part of the story. So how could it be that our brothers who live inside Israel, they speak the same language, they believe in the same God, they act almost the same way? How come they look at all of us fighting, presenting ourselves and our families into this battle, and they look aside and say, "Good luck with that. I hope you will manage." How could it be? It tears us apart. It's a question mark above all question mark. And I'm sure all of you are asking yourself, how could it be? And the third topic will be exactly the flip and the opposite of the second topic. Because it's the hardest thing to go and say a bit of not even negative, but even something that showcases Israel as something that is not perfect. But I want to try to come back to that with sharing a couple of stories and facts about what happened in the war from people who gave up everything while fighting. Stories of unbelievable courage, of unbelievable faith, and how all of that, brought us the biggest victory we never expected to have. From the bottoms of the lowest point after the 7th of October to what I just said, almost the destruction of the um, the seven arms and proxies of Iran. And I want to talk about the special operations that all of us saw but didn't really understand of what happened with the pagers and the attack of the 12th day in Iran into special units that did amazing things in Gaza and around Israel that nobody discussed and nobody talked about, or I mean, very limited. And I think after all of this already passed, this is the right time to open and try to share the greatness of the people, and with that, the greatness of God. In my perspective, when you hear those stories, the only thing you can say is praise you, Hashem, praise you, God. It's unreal. It's not normal. It's something to pray for and to thank for. And just as today, we're saying thank you, Hashem, for bringing God Gvili. When we reflect on what happened in the last 2.5 years and really going deep into the subject of what could have happened and what eventually happened, um, we should praise God and thank Him for all the miracles He has done. So these are the three elements that I want to try to bring to Australia. And now I would love to hear from you. And then I want to hear from Pam. What else? I'm writing. I have a pen here. I'm writing.
If you have a yes, Lisa, may there not be any more hostages. If you have a question for Shmuel, please raise your hand and feel free to ask him a question. Yes, Paul?
Yes, Shmuel. Judea and Samaria, is that sort of near the Golan Heights area?
Not at all. Judea and Samaria is all of the central Israel. It's the mountains between Jerusalem and the city of Shechem, just in the middle of Israel. And these are all the areas that were liberated in 1967, and they're being called in the media the occupied territories, but they are the biblical heartland of Israel. It's including places like Hebron, Bethlehem, Shiloh, Shechem, all the biblical sites.
I think it's so very important for Israel to have Judea and Samaria, because I think if that went through to the Arabs, and they would have the oversight of a fair part of the rest of Israel, wouldn't they?
Absolutely. This is where we're from, and that's what we're always talking about. The importance of the biblical perspective, and of course the importance of protecting the land from those mountains. And I think we have somebody is trying to show us on the map. It's not so clear, but while the next person is going to speak, I'm going to try to share a map. Somebody else.
Is there anybody waiting to come into the Zoom, Shmuel?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, Pam, I do have a friend that I sent the email to, and she hasn't been before, and she has tried to get in, but she said her Zoom needs updating. So if it looks like someone's trying, her name's Moira.
Oh, Moira. Okay, I think I know her.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, all right, excellent.
Yeah, so I only saw the email just before the session, so I didn't have a chance to send it to her earlier. Yeah, actually, I could send you her email so that you can send it direct in the future.
Okay, great. Thanks, Carolyn.
Okay, bye.
Lovely to hear you. Okay,
Someone else.
Yeah.
In the meanwhile, I'm just going to show you the map.
Okay, Donna, do you have a question?
I don't have a question, but can I just share what happened to me? I think I told you, Pam, on Memorial Day, I put my Israeli flag out on my fence and somebody has stolen it. And we live in an area, we have a Muslim school 100 meters away. So there's anti-Semitism around my area. So that was a real shock. I just wanted to comment on that. I'm still getting over it.
Oh, wow, Donna. Yeah. Yes, it's a matter of now being brave for our faith. We need to stand up, but the risk is now increasing. Yeah, which was what I was saying in the beginning. I don't think anywhere around the world now is going to be immune to what this situation is. Yeah.
Somebody asked here in the questions, are citizens of Israel being told to expect an attack from Iran at any time? The answer is yes. Everybody was asked to be prepared, to be ready, to prepare their shelters, the obvious and regular things like water and food and supply and whatnot. We don't know when, but we need to be ready and prepared. It's definitely, I mean, we believe it's a question of when, not even a question of what, of if. Yeah, so I even heard that Netanyahu insists that in the time of an attack, we should receive 4 hours of notice before that, to tell all of the Israelis to be prepared and to know and to whatever. Let's see. I can tell you that in the first attack, the first siren in the middle of the night was a shock. A shock. Nobody believed this will happen. It's real. It's happening. It's a moment we won't forget. It is a moment we won't forget. You know, by instincts, what I said, I woke up from bed and I said, "Voila, Bibi actually did that." You remember we attacked first, so I actually, from bed, I'm like, Ashkara, Bibi aside, really, Bibi did that. So, yeah. And any other questions? Yes. Hi.
Hello. I think personally, from our point of view, there was no real discussions about our Prime Minister and Penny Wong, what is she? She's
What is she?
Foreign Minister.
Prime Minister.
Foreign Minister, yeah.
Yes. So we, as lovers of Israel, and they spoke on their behalf, and we just were so floored at what they did for the, speaking at the UN. I was feeling, actually, my husband's here beside me, we felt really indignant that they took that stance. And a lot of people who love Israel, we actually, we have family members that have died in the First World War. I mean, of course, they're gone, but they actually fought. And that was the first battle in the First World War that they won against the Turks in Israel. And it was the Beersheba and the Battle of the Light Horse. And they're members of people's families that came from Victoria and New South Wales that fought that battle for the freedom and freedom for Israel. So we were just totally, totally floored when, our government did that. And of course, we've actually got to stand up and be vocal about it here. Unfortunately, we've been lulled into a sense of being quiet and good little Christians, and we're finding that it's all changing in this country.
I didn't want to go there. That was my surprise, is that surely you cannot come to Australia in February of 2026 and avoid talking about what happens in Australia in December 2025. That's obvious. That's clear. But I want to say something in brackets, and that's very important. And this is something that we always come back to in two ways. For Christians, there's a core belief of the verses that Pam mentioned in the past, that when God will redeem his people, and we will return to our land, and he will bring us from all the corners of the world. That's a core belief, and we believe in that as well, and we pray for that 3 times a day. But there's a problem, and the problem is the fact that when you believe in it, it's different than you can say it to your Jewish neighbor. That's something that I said many times. Imagine this. You have a neighbor, you have a Jewish neighbor. I'm sure all of you have Jewish neighbors, right? But I'm saying the Jewish neighbor around town, the way he looks at his life, and that's something you need to, get it in one way or another. He looks at his life, he is Australian. He's Australian, and he is also a Jewish person, meaning that his identity lies deep, deep, deep inside the identity you are coming from. He's happy to see the flag. He loves the food. He loves the people. He's using the expressions. This is him. And although that I pray and I hope and I try to convince all of my brothers and sisters, the Jewish people, to return to their land, it happened to me in an older age that I realized one deep thing. We cannot understand the fact I'm Israeli. I never had this. But if I cannot, it takes me time to understand that in their mind, it's like people are kicking them from their home. It's not somebody who lives in a hotel that being pushed to a home. He lives in a home and is being pushed for an hotel. Israel, in their perspective, is still not their home. When they're in Israel, they feel stranger. They don't speak the language. They don't have the attitude. It takes time. Now, you should know that the numbers of kids, of youth that making Aliyah from Australia is huge every year. Melbourne is probably the biggest Zionist community. And when I say Zionist, I mean it from one perspective only, is that they are sick and tired to bring emissaries to Melbourne because they say, you are destroying my community. You come and you bring all my youth and all the good kids to Israel. What about me? I want to grow up next to my children and my grandchildren. To go back to the message I said is, as much as I want to say that all of them need to come back tomorrow, and I'm saying that and I'm praying for that, we need to be very careful and thoughtful when it's being said by their neighbor. Because when the neighbor says that, it's almost saying, it's not your place here. You belong there. You should go there. Now, I know it comes from the best place of your heart, but in their minds, and maybe you should talk to them about it. They feel that says their home, and unless something terrible would happen, they are staying there. And then you took to yourself, oh, Bondi wasn't terrible enough. I'll tell you a secret. In Europe, before the Holocaust, people would climb trains and didn't realize it's already happening. It takes so much time and consists of tragic elements to see in front of your eyes to really realize, yes, it's over. The dream is over. So I'm sad to say, it's unfortunate to say that the moment for them to realize that they need to come back home is going to happen, but it's going to be slow and it's going to take time. And until then, I think you need to stand with them and not standing behind them and push them. And they need to know you are friends. And when they know you're friends, when you will come and tell them, because I'm your friend, I'm telling you that, it sounds different. You understand the difference? And I think it takes a lot of commitment and a lot of trust to build the ability to say, I am your friend. I love you. I would love to move with you. Australia is not the Australia I grew up in. And I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, you need to save yourself because I'm with you. I hope you understand what I'm saying. It's a psychological problem for the Jewish people. Many generations now.
Shmuel, it's actually becoming, since January this year, it's actually becoming a hotbed to be a Christian now in Australia. So we're really on equal footing with the Jewish people now. And Shmuel and I were talking that the collective strength of the Jewish people worshipping and honoring the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the land brings them a deeper sense of security because the Lord is pleased that they're home together in unity. And I don't want to extend what Shmuel has been saying, but the classic example unfolding now is the story in New York. But I'd like Marie to be able to ask your question, Marie. Thank you for being patient.
Thank you, Pam. Shmuel, I'm just interested to know how, is there still post-traumatic support for the children, the families, after all that you've been through in the last year or so? Are you still getting that kind of support in your country?
So you should you're asking a very good question, and I can tell you something even deeper than that. 2 weeks ago, I got a very sad message. So somebody who worked almost with me, he was the head of the fund of the Gush Etzion fund, and he was also later on worked in the Ariel University. So we were like colleagues. We work in the same places, and we had a lot of cooperation. He was found dead, shot in his car. Something in the way that he messaged it immediately made me realize it was a terror attack. It was he committed suicide. He took his life. Now, 2 words about the person. He was my age. He had 4 children. He worked in a good job. He had a nice family. And from the outside, his life looked pretty perfect. Obviously, from the inside, far from that. And I can tell you that on a personal note, it was a really shocking incident. And for a week or so, I walked with the feeling that I've realized something very deep and profound. You know, I actually, you see, I have a note, a sticky note that I wrote to myself, and I sticked it on my screen that says something as follow. And that's not a late night conversation. It's like a midday, a fun conversation, but it's something very true. In the last 2 years, the state of Israel went through a trauma to the extent that every Israeli, regardless of his position, where he served, what he did, where he was, what his status was, every Israeli is carrying so much baggage on his back. He had so much on him. And I want to say something even stronger than that. For the ladies around the room here, I hope I'm not going to offend, but I'm going to say it anyway. In many ways, you know that it's even harder for men because men needs to be tough at all time. If something happened, it's on their back. They will carry the wife and the children. They still need to continue and provide for the family. They are working days and nights, and the worst part is they don't feel comfortable to go and speak about it to anybody, let alone a professional, but even a friend. I'm going to tell all my friends that I'm struggling. I will tell my friend that I'm not happy, that I have depression, that I have thoughts. No way, I'm a man. And I suddenly thought about the concept of how many Israelis are going with this burden on their back. And it's already has proven itself because we already heard of countless, I want to say 24 at least, of young men who served in the army and committed suicide after long periods of serving. It happens over and over again because it's a lot to maintain. So, Mary, I want to give you the good news though. I just spoke with one of the centers that give treatment to trauma, and they said to me that right now, 2 years after, almost in the end of all of it, they see a huge increase of men coming. After the kids went, after the wives went, and everybody got their treatment and their support, I think that for a lot of men, they came to a conclusion that I cannot avoid it anymore. I need to do something with those pain, with this pain, with these thoughts, with what I'm carrying. So right now, they told me it's in Gush Etzion as well. They are lining up people to help people, and we will actually also write about it. I told the team that this is something we need to talk about and to bring support, and we need to make it that every person who wants to get treatment won't stop himself only because of financial issues. I see it as a great, important thing that CFOIC needs to support. These men have so much on their back, and they need to they need to allow themselves a place to unpack, to talk, and to treat themselves. So I'm happy to say there's more and more of that, but it's still a lot to do. Still a lot to do. You're getting into deep questions that I feel we will need to speak in person next week. Only 1 week we can dive into these subjects. All of that. Thank you. Thank to Pam, the amazing Pam, for all the effort and all she's doing. God bless you, Pam.
I think God has to be counted here. I'm just bringing people. I think the Lord's bringing them.
Absolutely. Agreed. That's it. I have nothing to add. I'm waiting forward to come to visit. Please tune down the heat. Make it a bit nicer. Make it a bit cooler. I'm now afraid from two reasons. Now it's going to be very hot, and also the kangaroos are going to hide somewhere. I'm not going to see once again none of them. And so I pray that it will be good. I pray that we will have only good news from Israel and not bad news. And I hope that we'll open new chapters that are going to be positive. That's what I have to add and say. And I'll see you soon.